Hi, Zach Reiser here, and welcome back to another bass effects review video. Today I'm back with another pedal from Jam Pedals, and this is the Delay Llama Xtreme. So as the name implies, the Delay Llama is indeed a delay pedal, and specifically it is an analog delay pedal with some kind of fun digital tricks up its sleeve. So the audio path is all analog, but there's lots of fun kind of manipulation that you can do to that analog delay with some of the built-in controls. So let's jump right into this bad boy. As usual, bass is dry tone Dingwall ABZ Six String on the neck pickup. The Delay Llama is not your average analog delay pedal. As you can see, it's got lots of knobs, lots of switches, lots of foot switches. You can't see, but it's got 3 outputs, actually inputs, on the left side of the pedal here. And so I'm going to briefly explain what all of these controls do before I jump into the pedal. So starting with the simplest thing on the pedal, the 3 knobs at the top. These are kind of your classic delay controls. We have a time knob on the left, which we can go from kind of a nice slap back all the way up to 800 milliseconds. Nice juicy amount of delay there. And then in the middle, we have our repeats knob. So we can go from like 1 repeat to basically infinite feedback. And then on the right, we have our blend control. So how much delay is with our bass. On the bottom, we have the bypass foot switch and a tap tempo foot switch. If you hold this, it goes into kind of like an infinite oscillation on the fly. Very cool. And in the middle, this is a really interesting little button. It does a lot of stuff here. For one, we have 4 onboard presets. Very unusual for analog delays to have presets at all. And we have 4 available here to us. We also, though, can hold this down, and when this top LED comes on, we get into kind of the like extreme settings of the pedal, where we get things outside of our traditional analog delay sounds. This black button here has to do with those extreme modes, which I will get into in a little bit. The switches in the middle, we have essentially a buffered through, which allows us to have trails. I do have the trails on right now, so even if I click the pedal off, the delay continues to just nicely kind of fade out as it naturally would. We have a kill dry setting, so if you're running this in like a stereo rig and you want the delays to be only sent on one side and your bass's dry signal to be sent completely on the other side, we can do that. I am not using that for this video though. And then we have our subdivision selectors. We have eighth notes, quarters, and dotted eighths available off of our tap tempo. And lastly, on the left side of the pedal, we have 3 input jacks here. The top one is a way to control the delay time with an expression pedal or with CV, which is pretty cool if you have any kind of synthesizer stuff going on the side. We have an external control for that tap tempo, so if we want to control the tap tempo via something else, like linking it into my Boss ES8, I could have done that. And then also, we have an external control for preset selection. Very, very cool. So this doesn't have to be near your foot to kind of get to all of those nice functions that the pedal has to offer. All right, so before getting extreme, we're going to jump into just the standard delay sounds of the pedal. So I click the pedal on, and if you notice, none of these lights are on, which means I'm not on a preset and I'm not on extreme modes here. So this is basically knobs as shown. Let's hear what that sounds like. And you can hear immediately we have that lovely analog delay warmth. There's not a lot of attack. It's very kind of squishy and soft, very rich, and also very little kind of hiss on the top of the delay signal, which is a little tricky to do with analog delays. A lot of analog delays will impart kind of a bit of a hiss on the top of the signal, and even at its very long delay settings, the Delay Llama is very clean. Much more subtle delay effect here. This is a very short delay time, less repeats and less mix. This is just kind of for some ambience to your sound. So jumping right into one of the great features of this pedal, simple but sweet, is the tap tempo ability for an analog delay, and even more so, the ability to have some subdivisions. So I'm going to play around with a tapped in tempo, and then I'm going to switch from quarters to eighth notes, and then to that classic dotted eighth kind of doubling effect. So I have a little bit of overdrive turned on from the Jam Pedals Lucy Dreamer. Without the delay, it sounds like this. Lovely. And now we're going to run it in just kind of some middle of the road delay on the Delay Llama. Now I have my classic Boss OC2 turned on in that more standard octaver mode. It sounds like this. And now we're going to run it into kind of a shorter, almost slap back delay on the Delay Llama. So I could spend quite a bit longer talking about just classic analog delay sounds with the Delay Llama because I personally love analog delay, but I do want to get to some of these more kind of extreme settings that it has to offer. So all of these settings can be saved to presets, and briefly I want to talk about kind of how you access those presets. I'm not actually going to use presets in this video, but I want to show how I can access that. So right now when no lights are on, I'm in normal manual delay mode, nothing crazy. But if I click into this button, you'll see this first light comes on, and that's telling me I'm on preset number 1. Click forward, preset number 2. Preset number 3. Getting wonky now. And then preset number 4. Okay, so the extreme modes, the way we get to this, we hold down the middle foot switch and you'll see that light comes on. And that tells us that we are indeed in extreme mode. Now, to know which of the modes we're in, we hold down this black button. And notice right now we have all 4 lights turned on. That means that I'm in the 4th mode, which happens to be this kind of like arpeggiator pitch shifting thing. So let's talk about all the modes. Mode 1 is kind of like a vibrato effect with the delay. It's a shorter delay signal and it's going to be really kind of warbly back and forth. Mode 2, one of my favorites, this is kind of like a tape simulator, so we're getting almost like random pitch modulation on the end of the delay signal. Mode 3 is like a random delay, so it's randomly changing my delay time, very glitchy, very out there. And then mode 4 is that kind of arpeggiator sequenced effect. Starting with Xtreme mode 1. So the next mode is kind of this tape age setting. And honestly, this is probably my favorite setting on the Delay Llama. I love random tape modulation on analog delays. So I'm going to play some long chords with some longer delay, and I want you to listen to the tail of the delay. It's just this lovely, rich kind of randomness on the end of the note. All right, mode 3 is a crazy one, I'm just going to be honest. This is like a completely random delay signal. So it goes with your tap tempo, so it changes the delay time randomly on every tap. But with my dry bass, it sounds like this. So pretty wacky, pretty wonky with my dry bass, but if I run something a little bit synthier in the front, so this is kind of a fun FM synth patch on my C4 synth, it sounds like this. Pretty nasty by itself, so let's get a little weird with this random setting. So the last Xtreme mode on the Delay Llama is this kind of sequencing effect where it's changing the delay time in particular intervals. And there's different kind of harmonic settings, which comes from this knob, so you can have it jump like in octaves or in fourths. And there's different kind of rhythmic or sequencer settings with this knob right here. So right now I'm on the number 1 setting on both, which I believe is like octaves up and down, and then a pretty straight sequence feel. So now I'm running kind of a fourths and fifths in terms of the harmonies on the Delay Llama, but I'm running my Boss OC2 into that Lucy Dreamer overdrive into the Delay Llama. So the OC2 and the Lucy Dreamer by themselves sound like this. And now let's let's kind of pitch sequence or harmonize ourselves here. The last harmonizer effect here I'm going to run through is going back to those octaves, but on a more kind of like sequenced or random sequenced effect. Really nice for some chordal playing. So that is my demo of the Delay Llama Xtreme from Jam Pedals. It's a pretty wild analog delay. You can get all of those classic, lovely, warm, rich analog delay sounds, but a lot more. And don't forget that you can store all of these things into those 4 onboard presets as well. So if it feels like it's a little bit complicated to dial it in, once you get it dialed in, all you gotta do is press a button. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe below. It really does help me out. And as usual, I'll be back very shortly with more effects pedal demos. So thank you so much for watching. Bye.